Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Touch by Prayer. Oh my goodness. How excited am I? Because who do I have? Who do I have here on Touch by Prayer? I have the green beard himself. That's right. I have Greg Harvey in the house. We are going to talk about his journey. We're going to talk about his life. We're going to talk about his childhood. We're going to talk about his future plans. We're going to see what the Holy Spirit wants to talk about because he has been such an inspiration to so many people. If you do not know who he is, you definitely want to tune in. You want to find out all about him because he is awesome sauce. That's right. I said it. Awesome sauce. And he is going to what he's been doing on Periscope and in some other streams. He has been inspiring and he has been helping people with his daily devotionals, his encouraging words, his pastor's heart. My gosh, I always say whenever he's ministering, I always say, Pastor Greg is in the house. And so he is here today. I'm so excited. We've been trying to get this. So share. Sharing is caring. Without further ado, I am bringing on the green beard, Greg Harvey. Greg, welcome to Touch by Prayer. I am super excited.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, we did it. We had some serious, stuff coming on, but we're good. So share. Everybody share it out. Let's get some chats going. So excited. People are here. We have some of your favorites on here too, by the way. Just saying, we have Graham and Cam on here. I'm going to start putting them up. And I have Marcy and Erica. Hi, Erica. And Carrie, and then let's see, we got, oh my gosh, Tracy, I know, deplorable Deborah.
I see Dave Kellerman out there. What's up, buddy?
There you go. Good evening. Share. Okay, so my goodness gracious. So of course, how did I meet you? Well, it's through everybody's special connection. It's like 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. It's kind of like 5 degrees from Praying Medic because
right, the medic effect.
The medic effect. That's right. And he actually shared your stuff out, and you and I've had conversations. And what's so much fun is that when the Lord started talking to me about you, I start praying for you because you have such a beautiful heart. And so you were actually, and it was one of those like crazy shows where you were like really kind of sharing, your stuff, and you were kind of talking about, your childhood and the things that you've endured. And I just wept. I mean, you're funny and everything, but I just sat there and I just wept and I just started crying and I just started to pray and I just started to cry. And I was like, oh, Lord, I said, I so love this guy. And he said, okay, well, you're gonna get to meet him. And so, through some finally we got a chance to talk, and we've been talking and sharing and praying, and God is doing truly amazing things. But I really felt that that you've talked about some of your stuff, but I really felt like God just really wants to give you a place where you can just be real, that you can just let it all out, that you can kind of share your journey and feel free to talk about what you feel free to talk about. And because I think that your testimony, Greg, I really believe that your testimony is really going to set a lot of people free. I really do believe that. And I see a book. I kept wanting to write when I was writing up the introduction, author. I kept wanting to write author. So it's coming. It's out there.
Don't let Allison hear you say that.
Well, I'm telling you, it's out there because your story, everybody's story is important to share. And I always say that. And I always say that, everybody has a good God story, and every God story is a good story to share. So your story of overcoming, of using the foolish to confound the wise, God uses you each and every day in such magnificent ways. And where you really touched my heart is when you had a troll and you said, leave him alone. He's mine.
Yeah, that one's mine.
That one's mine. Leave him alone because you wanted to minister to him.
Yeah.
That's your
I don't know whatever happened. Yeah, I don't even know whatever happened to him. He didn't come back in, but we always loved up on him. He got to the point where he asked for prayer.
Did he really? I'm telling you. See, that's people sometimes will sit there and say, well, bunker boy, thank you.
Yeah, bunker boy. Bunker boy, where are you?
Where are you, Bunker Boy? Because that was one of the, I kept saying, Bunker Boy is going to get saved. Bunker Boy is going to have an encounter with Jesus, because when you get on Jesus's radar, you're done. And that's exactly what happened to you. That's exactly what happened to you. So why don't you go ahead? Why don't you share a little bit? Why don't you do your introduction that you do on your show every morning, and who you are, where you're from, and what you're here to do?
All right. Hey, I'm Greg Harvey. I'm from Clearwater, Florida, and my mission in life is to help see people get set free, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever aches and breaks you got. God's got something good for you, including the CBD.
Well, that and that is something, because you know what? There are a lot of people who, they're looking for ways to get free. So let's just go back a little bit. You ready to go back? We're gonna go back a little bit. We don't have to go back. We don't have to go back too far. I know. It's kind of like Wayne's World, right?
It is.
That's what it is. It's Wayne's World. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was totally there. I was right there with you.
Well, that's because you and I are. I think I'm older, not much, but I'm older, and so you and I are going to we connect because we understand. We understand some of the things,
We clicked right away.
We did. Okay, so let's just go back, and we're not going to go into the nitty gritty, but you came from a troubled childhood, correct?
I did.
You did.
Yeah. I never met my dad, him and my mom, he was kind of an abusive guy, I guess. And, they didn't have a really good relationship. They met, ironically enough. They had a radio show on Armed Forces Radio in Alaska. And that's how they met. So it's like literally in my blood. But
you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't even. I knew it in the back of my mind. Yeah. Even after I started broadcasting, and I never really put it together only until like the last year or so, when I started like claiming my roots a little bit, because I really didn't know where I came from. My mom took off from Alaska to Illinois, and I was in a cornfield. And then got married to the guy I call my dad, and it just wasn't so great.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so you came from a challenging, always challenging, where you constantly felt, and I'm sharing these things because I've heard your story, so I know that they're public. So because I would never say anything that wasn't already out there. But you were in and out of foster homes, that you were that you went to.
And mental facilities.
And mental facilities, right? Okay, so it wasn't foster homes, it was mental facilities.
Yeah. My mom, I had a lot of trouble, once they started having their own kids, that's when I kind of got shoved to the side. And, I was a little bit of a wild man. I think I kind of inherited that from my dad. So, I got in a lot of trouble and stuff. And, I don't think they really knew what to do with me. And, I wasn't telling any of the doctors or anything, they were beating the stuff out of me or anything, because I was afraid. So. My mom shows up in middle school one day with a bag packed in the back, and she's like, "Oh, come on, we're going." I'm like, "Well, where are we going?" And she's like, "We're not going anywhere. You're going somewhere." And they took me, and she dropped me off in a place, and that was the first of four. Between 13 and 17, I was locked up. It was not a good thing.
No,
getting chased down the hall by the people in white and quiet for days and weeks at a time, and.
Okay,
a lot of stuff.
So one of the things that you kind of talked about is you said that you became the bully, because most people who do have a lot of wounds and hurts, that they learn how to defend themselves. They learn how to take control and take charge so that people can't hurt them. Yes.
And so I'm so nervous. I don't know why.
No, don't be nervous. It's just me. Stop it now. So one of the things that I sometimes we become what we don't like, because when we become a bully, which you probably were bullied, it's something that we do just to kind of to cover up like the hurts and the wounds. And so we decide that we're just going to be, I'm just going to protect myself. And you became, in some essences, your own God.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, Well, I didn't really like God. I went to church as a little kid and stuff, so I had an idea who he was. I
Mhm.
confirmed. I sat behind the pastor at church, lit the candles, all that stuff, and then stole out of the offering. After we got done. So I hated God, and I kind of went on a mission. Like, I mean, he made me as some kind of cruel joke to the world, so I'm just gonna go out there and f it all up.
Wow. Okay. So you've already, you've already decided in your heart God's not for you, which
Oh
is
no,
something that a lot of people believe. They really
yeah, I
believe
hated
that
him.
yeah. I'm laughing because it's like, well, we're gonna get to that point. But to hear you even say that, it just cracks me up because you can see, the love that you have for God and the trust that you have for him. So here you were in this place where now when did you start doing drugs?
Well, I mean, right away, I mean, even in the place, I befriended the family. I was in one facility in South Carolina, and I befriended the family. And
Hmm.
South Carolina, they have the oyster roast and stuff. And man, we went to this oyster roast, and the parents weren't paying attention, and we were just down in Dixie cups of beer, man. So that was like
Hmm.
the first time I had like alcohol, anything that wasn't like a pharmaceutical, like from the what the
Right.
doctors were giving me and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And immediately I was hooked, man.
Wow.
I just wanted that all the time because it was the first time I really didn't feel anything.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so here you are. You're starting to dabble in some drugs and some alcohol, right?
Hmm.
So and it started to become something. Now, was that after you were out of the mental facilities, or was that during or in between?
Well, no, the first time I had alcohol, I was in a place. The first time I smoked pot, I was in a place. I was in a bathroom
Uh huh.
of a facility.
Uh
And then
huh.
I got out when I was 17, and I went home to my parents. And like 6 months after I got there, I was out of there. I mean, the abuse kind of started up. I was bigger than them at that point, so
Hmm.
it wasn't as much physical as it was like mental and stuff.
Right.
Um, I just failed, and then it just all went to hell in a handbasket, pretty quick.
Well, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes that
Hmm.
that happens, and but there's grace in it because God had you marked.
Oh, he did. He
He
did.
did.
The more I go with him, I look back at my life and I see that he's the only reason I lived through
Hmm.
pretty much
So
everything.
so give us like one example where you really saw God moving in your life before you got saved.
Oh, I didn't see him before I got saved. It was afterwards when I look
Yeah, but
back and I
now that you
realized,
reflect, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
yeah.
saw, you can see it now. Where are the times that you thought that he abandoned you and he didn't care about you? But then you realize now on the other side, it's like, oh, wait a second, no, he was there.
Oh yeah, like I mean I just think about all the times, all like I took off and I went to New Orleans. I went for a weekend and I didn't end up coming home for years. And when I was there, that's when all the yets happened. You always hear in the meetings and stuff about the yets. Well, I haven't done that yet. I haven't done that yet. I did it all. I was smoking crack. I was shooting up. I was doing all kinds of stuff. I was crazy. I was violent. I wasn't allowed in any bars or anything because I was beating everybody up. And I mean, I got so desperate at the end. I mean, I was trying to rob a drug dealer one night, and he pulled a gun on me, and I pulled a gun into me, and I was begging him to kill me, and he started crying and trying to help me. I mean, it was so frustrating. At the time, I was just kind of ticked. But now I look back on stuff like that, and that was definitely God intervening. I mean, I should be dead and buried under the jail so many times. And I mean,
Wow.
I think about like I used to sell dope out of the strip clubs for this one big dealer. He's one of the biggest pimps and dealers in New Orleans, and one morning he puts me in the car, and instead of giving me my next issue, he's trying to take me to treatment. It's like stuff like that doesn't necessarily happen, and I thank God for being there,
Yeah.
even when I knew he wasn't,
So now,
allegedly.
how long were you in New Orleans for?
I was there almost 4 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's one of the places that I love New Orleans. I love New Orleans. And it's funny because I went there with my girlfriend. She took me there and I was walking the French Quarter. And I
Hmm.
would be praying in the spirit, walking the French Quarter, and I was just walking and walking and walking. And I got to this one place on Bourbon Street where it was like I couldn't pray. I just couldn't pray there. And the Lord said to me, he goes, you can't pray here. He didn't tell me why. He just said, you can't pray here. Because there is a lot of dark stuff. I mean, I know
I
you
did too.
know.
I just got chills, man. I know the voodoo rituals, hung out with the voodoo priest, New Orleans, got my spells, the vampires, the nightlife.
I was just going to say about the vampires, because that was what I saw behind this wall. And I said to my girlfriend, I said, it's like there's vampires behind there. But I was like, no, that can't be. But it was like, you're like, oh no, there is. And it's crazy.
I know it sounds crazy, but
but they're there. Yeah. They're there. So, okay. So this is the thing. So here you are, you're in New Orleans for 4 years. You're begging, you're asking people to take your life. You're like, come on.
I couldn't die. I mean, I was known for like how much I could do. And I mean, sometimes I would come to with a needle still hanging out of my arm,
Oh my God.
I mean, no matter what I couldn't kill myself,
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. So then from New Orleans, you went back to Florida?
Yeah. Okay. There was one night I was in this bar, and I was in all night long, and it was like probably like 10 in the morning, and I knew within 2 weeks I was going to be dead, either by myself or somebody else. And I had like a moment of sanity where I wanted to get out of there. So I called my mom and told her I wanted to come back. Of course, she didn't believe me. And then, on the way back to Florida, I spent another night in jail because I tried to rob somebody for his glasses. And, I skipped out. I took a Greyhound bus and came back to Florida, and I tried to get clean and sober, tried to go to meetings and stuff. But, I mean, there's this part in the beginning of Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. They read, the preamble every meeting. And it was like, there's those that are constitutionally incapable of grasping a manner of living that requires rigorous honesty. The chances are less than, and they're not at fault. They just seem to be born like this. And to me, the first minutes of the meeting I went to, they just told me what I already knew. Born like this. God made me like this. I'm just some kind of cruel joke. There's no hope. So it was very frustrating. In and out of jail some more, and it was a real nightmare. It was not an easy path.
But okay, so all the things that you went through, now that you're on the other side of it, you can see the destiny that God had for you. You can see the things that wanted to shut you up were your voice. And one of the ways that the enemy tries to shut people down from speaking is through shame and through rejection. And so you went back to Florida, and I'm just trying to think when Jen came into the picture, how because I'm trying to wrap up. Hey, Greg Harvey, this is your life. So I'm trying to wrap it up. And
I'm not helping. I'm like,
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. Okay, so here we are back in Florida.
So one night in the middle of the night, I mean, at this point, I was a mess, like physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything. I had like 2 teeth in my head. They were busted and crooked and wiggly. I'm all torn up. I had like a toothache really bad, right? And so, what do you do when you get a toothache? I went to the liquor store and I got a bottle of Southern Comfort, and then the dope man was there, and then the dope was done. I was out of Southern Comfort, and I was going to call the dope man to come back and bring me some more stuff. And instead, I picked up the phone and I called my friend. I had made some friends with some people. I was going to Narcotics Anonymous meeting. I was, I'd have to get wasted to go. But, I called him up at 3:00 in the morning, and, I told him I didn't want to die anymore. And the next day, somebody came and got me, and they took me to a meeting, and I sat in the meeting, and, I raised my hand, and I'm like, you guys talk about 30 days clean. I can't even get 30 minutes clean. I can't stop no matter what. I just want to kill myself, but I don't have the guts. And, this guy sitting in front of me, he turned around and he looked at me and he said, nothing changes if nothing changes. And, I'd probably heard that before in my life, but it really kind of smacked me. And he became my sponsor. He ended up marrying Jen and I later on. But so that was July 11th, 1998. And, it took me it wasn't like that was my first meeting. I mean, I've been going to meetings off and on since I was 17. So, here it was 11 years or 10 years later, it took me that long to get that last white chip, but
Mhm.
yeah, everybody has their last.
So you got your last white chip, okay,
Yeah.
and you got it, and
That's kind of like,
well, no, but there's something about that, okay, so my mother was is an alcoholic, because you don't ever stop being it, but you
mhm.
do but you do overcome it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Unless like you get completely transformed and that person dies. So I want to
Yeah.
say that very, very clearly. So my mother, not yet. So she still is. But when she meets Jesus, when she gives herself to Jesus, then that old person dies. And that's exactly what happened to you. That old Greg died.
Yeah. Not yet.
Oh no, no, I don't.
No,
I disagree with that. I disagree with that because
no, at
look.
that point in the story,
Oh,
I
not
was
now.
still a
Okay,
mess.
okay, keep going then.
I would get in no, I would get in fights in Narcotics Anonymous means if you took my chair, sitting across the room, popping off rings, being like, I'm gonna meet you outside. It
Oh
was
my
rough.
goodness.
And then,
Uh-huh.
one night we went and picked up some people from the halfway house and from the treatment center and brought them back to my halfway house because I was living in a halfway house at this point. And come back in the room and I look across the room and there's this girl sitting there. And like I don't know what it was, but something just told me I was gonna marry her. And that was Jen. So,
Mhm.
I always like to say we got that American romance, we saw her from across the room in my Narcotics Anonymous meeting, my halfway house. That's why I always say that we're
Uh-huh.
so good, no matter
Mhm.
we're gonna stand through anything. We
Of
walked out the
course.
gates of hell together. But I mean, even with her, the jealousy was unreal. I couldn't believe this little girl like my sunken eyes and my stringy hair and my no teeth and stuff. But she did.
She did.
So that was really a big change.
Mhm. Okay.
Learning how to love somebody and let her, love on me. So
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Two broken people trying to love
yeah.
because because you're so broken, you don't even understand what love truly looks like.
hmm
So okay. So
Yeah.
so then
My sponsor said it's like he's like, because everybody tries to dissuade you from having a relationship the first year. I had a
mhm,
couple months in, you need a little work first. But
mhm,
my sponsor's like, it's like you walk into a room, both of these addicts come into a room and they got these big trash bags and they just throw it down on the ground and start mixing around together in it. And it's like, maybe we like trash. And but it worked. It worked.
mhm.
It's not a recommended thing, but it definitely worked in this case.
Okay. So let's talk about so then you guys got married by your sponsor, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But you
Yep.
still you still weren't you still didn't take that step. You still didn't
No.
cross that line. You still didn't take his hand.
Nope. I was clean and sober maybe
Mhm.
8.5 years when I got saved. And I mean, I
Mhm.
was, I got better. I wasn't going to jail anymore. I wasn't beating anybody up. I managed to keep a phone for a while. No holes in walls.
Mhm.
And but I still felt all that same stuff inside. I mean,
Mhm.
I was still just waiting to die. Even getting married and having a kid and go from homeless and dirty, strung out to driving a minivan, got a house, all this stuff, starting to put together a little career. I still wasn't, I still felt all the same yuck inside, all of it. I didn't have my crutch anymore, really.
Mhm. Okay, so you still were angry because you're still angry. So you're still angry. You still have all those same things, just minus the alcohol, which was kind of helping you to cope. So now you
hmm
don't have the alcohol, you don't have the drugs, but you still have these wounds, you still have these hurts, you still have this stuff. So when did you have your come to Jesus moment?
Well, I was in a doctor's office one day and like I was trying to, I'm sure anybody that watches my broadcast, I'm ADD. I embrace it now. I'm not speaking anything over myself. Um, but I was going to the doctor to try to get on medicine, to try to help me, be able to concentrate, be able to focus. And it wasn't going very well at all. It was like the first time, like, because, this stuff's like speed. And so my body wasn't reacting so well to it, or so I thought. But I think God just wanted to get me in this doctor's office, because there was this guy in there, and he was just talking to everybody, and he was so upbeat, and he was so happy, and he's cracking jokes, he's talking to everybody, he's smiling, and he was driving me crazy. And, and then I heard somebody say something to him about the Titanic, and I was like, huh, because I was always interested in that as a kid.
I know.
Yeah. And so, come to find out, his dad's the one that actually found it, not Robert Ballard. And he's the one that actually went down and brought up all the artifacts from the bottom of the ocean. And so, we started talking a little bit stuff, and he gave me his card, told me to call him. And so I called him up a few days later, and he was talking to me about different stuff, and, he needed a graphics person and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I do graphics. And he's like, well, what I really need is a web guy. And I was like, oh, well, really, I do web design, but I do graphics too. But most people just know what graphics are. They don't know about web design. I mean, this is like a while back, And so, we started talking, and, one day I met him over at his mom's house, and we're standing outside talking, and he starts telling me about Jesus. And, he starts getting tears in his eyes, talking about how his life had been changed and all this stuff. And I'm just like, come on, man. Are you serious? Are you freaking kidding me right now? This holy roller sitting here. And, the way he talked to me about God, I was calling my chain smoking foul mouth Christian. I never heard anybody talk about God like that before. And, he really got me with like a bouncer story of Jesus. He's like that whip, that was premeditated. He's like that whip. He sat outside and he made that thing. He fashioned that whip, and then he went in there and he chased him out. He's a bouncer. He's like, you're not doing that in my daddy's house. And,
I love that. He's a bouncer. I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what worked, and I'm sure there was some F's and some other stuff in there, but I never heard anybody talk about God like that before. And it really, it started softening my heart at that day, and I put Mike to the test for a freaking year. Oh my gosh. Remember, I hated God. So, my first pushback was like, oh, no. No, you don't understand. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I've done. God doesn't want anything to do with me. I don't want anything to do with him. And, but Mike is just so good with me. And he just told me, he's like, he came here to save you, not to judge you, not to throw you away. He came here to save you. And that really started changing things. Oh my gosh, we get broke up now.
Well, that's okay. That you're allowed to.
Yeah.
It's a safe.
But that was the beginning of it. That was like, if you picture, it's like that was that first, into that heart of stone. So everything became possible after that.
Well, I love the fact that he used something to get your attention that wasn't Christian. He used the Titanic, because God knows exactly the things that move us. And so he's like, well, I can't talk to him about religion, but hey, I could talk about the Titanic. And that's exactly what caught your attention.
I remember where I was sitting, Mrs. Davis's class in 5th grade, when we got the Scholastic News, and it was about the Titanic and this explorer out there. And, this is an unsinkable ship that sank the first time out. I thought it was hilarious, and that was Mike's dad.
Wow.
That was Mike's dad out on the original Grimm expeditions,
Look at how God does things. I always say that God connects dots, and he brings different people. And so there have been people that I mean, like even reading The Shack. Like reading The Shack changed my life. It really did. And so having, being able to meet this man in person was like, how does that happen? But it's like something that you loved as a child, to actually meet the son of the explorer of the article that you read.
Right?
Only God.
Who does that?
Only God. Who does that? You must have been like, get out of it. You are not. You are not the son.
I mean, here's the thing, though. We talked this morning on the Devo about, this life of God, what an adventure it is. That was the beginning of the adventure. I could have never imagined that, but, God, like, orchestrated all this stuff,
Yep. Okay. So, all right. So here you are. You're now, because you're still, your heart got softened like that much.
Yeah.
So how did God continue to use a sledgehammer to break open that floodgate of beauty and emotion and tenderness and compassion that we know because it comes out of you each and every day?
Well, you'd have to meet Mike, but he's a talker. Like he used to
Mhm.
have, like when we had minutes on phones, he used to go over like 15, 20,000 minutes a month on his cell phone. I mean, he's a talker. And so
Uh-huh.
he talked to me about the Bible like that. I mean, he walked me through everything. Any stupid question I had, I had dumb questions. My favorite is always like, why are the pages so thin? Why are the pages so thin? You know,
Uh-huh.
like everything. And he always just had a great answer for me. He explained things to me. I mean, we would go to Starbucks at like 7 at night, meet up there, and not leave the parking lot till like 3 or 4 in the morning. I
Mhm.
remember like one night when he started talking to me about the devil and all this stuff and everything. I remember feeling like physically ill. I started puking on the side of his truck. It was like I felt like all the sludge was getting like dislodged and everything in me.
Mhm.
And I mean, he just kept going. And I worked with him, and he's embarrassing. We'd be at Home Depot or out somewhere, anything. He started talking to people about God and just witnessing to people. So I got to experience all that.
Mhm.
And like I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anybody else could have reached me like him. I mean, he spoke the language I spoke. He spoke in a tongue that I understood.
Mhm.
And
And
it
I
was it
think
was
that's
beautiful.
it. What you just said, he spoke in a language that you understood. He didn't send somebody who was a big theologian. He didn't send somebody with the Jesus bat that was going to beat you over the head and tell you to repent and turn or burn. He didn't do that.
Not at all.
He sent somebody who was like a father. He sent somebody who gave
Yeah.
you that compassion and that understanding, who answered those little questions that maybe, you as a little boy didn't get a chance to ask. Because as a
Mhm.
little boy, as an inquisitive little boy, well, why are the clouds this color? Why is the sun this color? Why is this? Why is that? All
Exactly.
of these different questions. And so he sent you this beautiful um father figure where you could actually start to grow up that part of you that never got used.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
I think, I think I learned a lot, from that. Like I definitely don't talk about Jesus the way most people do, and
mhm.
I don't think it's for everybody, but you know what? I don't think I'm for the everybody's. I think I'm here for people that have been hurt or far from God, approach them, or maybe they're like me and they're like, God doesn't want anything to do with me,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm. Well, see,
So,
and that's the whole thing because I knew the moment that I was gonna have you on, that I was going to use that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Because that's
mhm.
exactly what he started to do, but we're not there yet. So I'm not jumping ahead. I wanna go I wanna continue on this journey because I think
Oh,
that
wait.
but wait, there's more. Um, okay, so here you are, you're asking the questions, but you still
Mhm.
haven't had your come to Jesus moment.
No, but enter MySpace.
Mm,
Ah,
okay.
some girl I'd only gone to 3 actual months of high school, but I made a hell of an impression, man, because I still got friends from high school. But,
Mhm.
there was this girl and she found me on MySpace, and, she was making life a little hell at home, trying to, be all cutesy and everything. And Jen wasn't having any of it. And, at the same time, there was this Luis Palau festival in town. And Mike kept telling me to go. And, um, didn't really know anything about it or whatever. And then I went to church with him on Sunday. Hold on, I got it out of order, but it's okay. Because these are both important things that happen. But so I went to church and I saw Luis Palau's son was up in front of the church, and he was like, "Hey, come on out! Invite your friends, invite your neighbors, invite your liberal coworkers. Like, uh,
Mhm.
you know, um, if they say no, just ask them again, and so I couldn't understand why he was up there. He was in a suit, he was all cleaned up, and he was talking about like he was in with prostitutes and drugs and drinking and all this stuff. And I'm like, how is this guy standing in front of church saying this? And I was like, huh. So when he got off the stage, I like watched him, and I like hopped over the seat in church, and I went and I found him out in the hallway, and I started talking to him, and And, you know, I was like I'm, you know, I'm so close to accept Jesus. I just don't know what it is. You know, pray with me. And so he prayed with me there in the hallway. And so then after church, me and Jen and the kids went with Mike and his family out to this festival, right? So then we run into him again out there, and he prays over the family. And, you know, it's so weird because he's praying over us and his dad's up on stage praying over the crowd. And then we were waiting to talk to Stephen Baldwin because he had done some stuff with Mike. And so we're standing there in the line, and I'm looking up at Stephen Baldwin on this ramp, and I'm like, man, he looks like a badass up there, you know? And
I think he is.
Mike,
I think he
yeah.
is.
And Mike's like, well, think about it. He's like movie star, plenty of money in the bank, not a care in the world. And he's standing on top of plywood by the side of Dale Mabry telling people about Jesus. And I was just like, huh. And so it was like at that moment, I got the marketing plan of the Luis Palau Festival. It was like, bring your friend, bring your neighbors, free. Just come. You know, they said, no, ask him again. Because I looked down from him in the crowd, and it's like I could see all the people in the crowd that were like me, and I could tell all the Christians. There was like this light. There was like this glow around all of them, you know? And it's like it just set off like this huge storm inside for 3 days. The next 3 days was just a nightmare. It's like all that pain and rage and everything coming back up. And, you know, I was running around our house, yelling at myself in the mirror, you know, oh, this isn't for you. You should just kill yourself. You know, just like terrible stuff. And, you know, the beautiful thing about it was, you know, inside of all that chaos that was going on, I just heard this tiny little voice just over and over and over again. You could help people. You could help people. You could help people. You could help people. And it just kept going and going and going and going. And it just got louder, louder, louder. And then that girl was making trouble for me, right? And it was the day before Bella turned 5, and we were getting ready to go to Disney. I mean, everything was great. And Jen came in the room, we got in a fight, and, you know, I went to smack her, and I stood up and I shoved her out of the room, and I slammed the door so hard it came through the wall. And, you know, I kind of collected myself. I took off. I went to Mike's house, and I had it out with the devil the whole way there. I lit up a cigarette. I'm in my big old Hummer. I'm driving through traffic like a madman. I'm like cussing him out, like, you've got to get out of my body. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm going to Mike's house. We're going to pray. You're going to die today. You know, I turned on the first Christian station I could find. I'm like, you like that? You like that? You better get used to it.
Because
you know,
I'm
just having it out. And then the song got over that was on the thing. And I just remember the person on the radio, they were just talking about the pain and letting go and the anger inside and all this stuff. And it made me start laughing like one of those crazy people I grew up with, you know? It was like that hysterical kind of laughter. And you know, I got to Mike's house, and, you know, we went out back, and, you know, we just prayed. And, you know, I just remember walking in the house and just touching my face and like, am I smiling? You know? And I mean, it really felt like the first one I really ever had in my life, like an inside out smile, not like an outside smile. It was like a all the way through smile. And, you know, I felt all that stuff, you know, just drain off me. You know, I felt like, you know, I always call it like the empty peanut butter jar. You know, you still see the scrapes on the inside, but it's all gone. And he hollowed me out, and he sent me to Disney with my kid to play for the day. And yeah, I know about Disney now, but, you know.
We still have fun.
But for me, I still got my Mickey Mouse ears in the china cabinet because my daddy, you know, I didn't have a childhood. It got stolen from me. And a lot of terrible things happened to me as a kid. And, you know, I got to go play. I got to go play with my kids, you know, and God just loved on me. And that night, I mean, I felt that Holy Spirit come in, and whew, it's been off to the races ever since.
Wow. Okay. So, so you had your, you know, you're done, devil, get out, you know, and God's completely in, but it's still a process.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Each and every day, because you said that today, because I was listening to your broadcast this morning. Each and every day, you make choices. Each and every day, you decide who you're going to listen to, who you're going to serve. Each and every day. Yeah. Each and every day. And sometimes we choose bad. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? Sometimes
I was sold out from the beginning. I was in love, man. I couldn't get enough. You know, I started listening to audio Bible and I started listening to messages, and you know, I was feeling better. And I remember like even standing outside and stuff. And you know, I mean, I got saved in March. You know, I always thought it was cool because it was March 7th, March of '07, and I was 37. So I always think that was pretty cool. 37, 37, 37. But you know, I remember even like looking and like seeing things, and like I felt like my eyes were brand new. I felt like I was seeing things in a totally different way.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, the colors were better.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes,
and God was like talking to me so hard.
Yes. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna share something because I was a huge Anne Rice fan. Loved Anne Rice. Read all her books about the vampires and stuff. And so, in her book, Interview with a Vampire, it talks about, or one of the guys, he gets new vampire eyes and he sees things for the first time. And it was weird because I'm like, I shouldn't be thinking this. This is like I'm a Christian. I'm not. But when I became awoken, when the Holy Spirit came in, when I got filled with the Holy Spirit and I started speaking in tongues, and I started to know who I was hearing, because I've always heard God, but I started to really have these conversations and I was seeing things for the first time. I was seeing plants and vegetations and skies and creation for the first time with eyes. Yes, come on. So, and you're the first person who's ever said that. So I just had to concur with you that when it was amazing. Woken up. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, but when you get woken up and you see things for the first time, you're like, have I been asleep this whole time? Have I?
Yeah. Well, you know? Not only have I been asleep the whole time, like I was feeling like I was like actually getting like oxygen. I felt like I was actually getting air. Everything was fresh. Everything was new. Everything was exciting. Everything was exciting except for Jen. Jen was not happy whatsoever.
Oh boy. Okay. So you had your come to Jesus moment, but Jen wasn't there yet.
No.
Okay.
No, she came a month later though. A month later, she got radically saved too. So, you know,
because she started to see the difference in you. You know, because in the scriptures it says that if you have an unbelieving spouse, that you need to stay because they will be saved, because they will see you, because they will see God in you. Right.
Yeah. And it was totally weird. I mean, like that night driving to Orlando, I mean, I was back and forth to Orlando all the time. You know, it's no big deal to make that drive. That's the worst freaking drive ever, man. Jesus, like, because like I told her like this, I'm like, we get in the car, I go back and I apologize to her. And I'm like, listen, I'm so sorry about what happened before, you know, but I'm like, I'm a totally different person now. I'm totally different. I didn't even understand what it meant. I'm totally different, you know. And we get in the car and you know, we're driving down there, and I'm like, Greg, you just got saved. What are you doing now? I'm going to Disney World. She wasn't happy at all, man. She's like, what are you going to start a Bible study, start listening to Christian music? You're going to become a Republican, you know?
Yes.
I did.
Yes, you did. You did it all. And okay, so that's the thing. You know, sometimes we're on this journey, and there are things that we do have to lay down. There are things, you know, like I had to stop reading because I was reading a lot of you know, supernatural, because I always was into the supernatural. Always. I was always into the supernatural because there was something about it that drew me in. And as I started to read it, I realized when I became a Christian, I go, oh, duh, it's because I am supernatural. I am created in his image. I am supernatural. And so I had to, you know, wrap up and pack up the books, and I had to start reading the Bible. And that's when I really saw the supernatural. So, okay. So let's talk about some stuff. So Jen comes alongside. Okay. So now you guys are fully sold out. You're going to church. You're trying to do the Christian thing, and you're going in, and there is a pastor that was birthed inside of you, and you don't know how to get it out.
Oh, that was early on. I mean, that was within like probably the first week or so. Like I remember it clearly. I was sitting on a Homer bucket, on a Home Depot bucket in my garage. I was smoking cigarettes outside, and Jen came out and she sat next to me, and I was crying, and she's like, "What's the matter?" And I was like, I think I'm supposed to be a pastor. I think I'm going to be a pastor.
You are a pastor. I'm just gonna. Can I just please say for the record, if anybody hasn't already known, Greg is a pastor. I don't care what anybody tells. I know what I know. He's a pastor. So let's continue. Sorry.
I did get my papers. I am ordained, but just helps get in jail and stuff.
But okay, so let me just explain something about a pastor. A pastor smells like sheep. I guarantee if you go run around, Greg, I guarantee you're going to smell on him. I'm telling you.
Did you just say I smelled bad?
No, you know, a pastor smells like sheep. He smells like his flock. I would never say that. I'm not mean, but a pastor is supposed to smell like his sheep. A good shepherd smells like his sheep. So you're going to smell like the people you hang around. You're going not, and I don't mean it in a physical way, but in a spiritual way. You will carry what they have, because you're going to get into the dirt with them. You're going to get into the mud with them. You don't care about getting dirty.
That's what Jesus did.
Thank you. Okay, so now we can go on. So Pastor Greg. Yeah.
No. Well, like right after that, there was a street preacher that I was used to see all throughout my life here in Clearwater. And I ended up going to stand on the street corner with him for like 2.5 hours or so. And that was the last time I ever saw him too. And he told me one day I'd have a great congregation. Just kind of stuff that God was saying to me. And it's like, I didn't see any of that stuff. And now, it's like, and like dumb me, it's like, I don't even really realize it, until like, especially this year, especially like within the last few days. I think it broke me on a broadcast the other day. It's like, this is a great congregation. I'm reaching, 11, 10, 12,000 people a day.
Absolutely. A day.
Bringing a day. A day. This guy that they used to hide away in little rooms. I grew up in a quiet room in a mental facility and then a dope holes in jail.
Come on.
And, they told me to know my role, shut up, don't speak, do what you're told, all this stuff. And, I get to do that. And then Medic comes along a year and a half ago. He starts sharing out my stuff. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
But, that's just
that's the thing. When you are called to something, you just have to do what you can do in the natural, and then God's going to do what he's going to do in the supernatural. So where you couldn't be, think about it, Greg. If you were in a church, let's just talk about this for a second. And you had a small church, say maybe you had like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100, maybe 200 people, right? Maybe. Okay. Because, churches, if you don't have the big name, you don't got the big people, right?
Yeah, you gotta have the big show on Sunday.
The show's closed. Anyway, but sorry.
Not ours.
No, that's what I'm gonna say. Is that God is saying, well, I don't want you to be there. I want you to be here. Because even like going to Periscope for me, when God started talking to me going back to Periscope, I'm like, I don't want to go to Periscope. But look at what he's done. Like, he brought you into my life. He brought Andrew into my life. He brought Robin into my life. He brought, Larry, Uncle Larry, who's now Uncle Larry, just saying.
Nice.
Uncle Larry. Isn't that cool? Okay. Anyway, but, so here
we've got an amazing family.
We do. But, this is the whole thing. Is that, God said, you have a voice and you're going to reach so many people. And so we start to think about, well, okay, I'm going to have to start with a small church, because we have been conditioned to think inside the box when God is an outside the box thinker. And that's who you are. You are an outside of the box thinker. Everything that you do is outside of the box. Just saying.
Well, it's been interesting, especially this year, seeing the big box store close on Sunday, and then all of these pastors that just kind of gave a drive by to the online viewers at home, like we've been out here doing this thing for going on 5 years, so watching these pastors that mocked me and laughed at me, pastors that told me that I should dream a little smaller, all these pastors out here trying to figure it out, and exactly. I got a goal. I want to tell everybody on the planet before I go home. I want to tell everybody in the world. And you know what? And I think maybe Brother Steve and a couple of people that have been around a long time, they remember. And it didn't even dawn on me till the other day. But right before Dave started sharing out my broadcast, I had a goal in mind. I wanted to reach 1 million people that year. I wanted to like, not all at once, not anything, but I wanted to reach 1 million people that year. And you know what?
Mhm.
I could probably go back and look at the numbers. I don't know if I made 1 million or not, but I guarantee
Well,
I
you're
came
pretty darn
close.
close. You're pretty
Pretty
close.
darn close.
You're pretty
And
close. Yeah.
yeah.
And
I mean, it's not like, like I tried to do the social media thing, where I was trying to get followers and do stuff and be viral and post the right amount of posts on Instagram and all this stuff. And you know what? When I just started doing this Diva, it was just me in a coffee cup. I always kid around. My friend Diane Rinaldi gave me some mercy views. I'm like, please watch my broadcast.
Yeah.
But God, he told me to start. He didn't tell me to stop.
Yep.
And so I just been faithful. And I don't look at it like I got numbers or followers anymore. I don't have a single follower at all. I have people. I have God's kids. He puts them in my charge. He puts them on my path. And that's amazing.
That's why I say that you smell like your sheep, because you don't care about the numbers, Greg. You don't care about the views. You care about meeting the people. You care how many times you've been in a stream of stuff, and all of a sudden you said, somebody says, I need prayer, and you quickly pick it up before anybody else gets the chance. You're like on it. You can smell prayer. I mean, I'm like touched by prayer, but you can smell prayer. That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
Sniffer.
Like prayer.
I don't know if I want to be a sniffer right now. I don't know if I want to be a sniffer.
Well, but if you're a prayer sniffer, that means you're sniffing out a need. So we can do that,
but it's so important, because like when I was watching people on Periscope, when I was trying to figure this thing out, or I go on these religious broadcasts, or I go on these prophet ones, I'm very leery of the prophets, but I go in there and I'd see prayer requests go by, or I'd put my own prayer request in and the person didn't see it or anything. And so I've always made a point, like if I see a prayer request, I'm praying. Yeah, I'm praying. I work it into whatever I'm saying. I'll be going and going, and it's like, oh, Coach much for Coach Mo. She introduced me to the best DVD that helped me calm my nerves, helped pull me out of depression. I love my friend Coach Mo. And so anyway, so I just do that. I just pray when I see a prayer request.
That's right.
Like our group, our crew, I think they picked up on that. So like a lot of times I don't see the chat. But then when I go and I look at the chat and I see people that have put in prayer requests, and I might not have seen it, but I know there's like 3-4 other people that have stepped up and they've tagged that prayer, and they're like, I got you. I got your back. I'm praying for you.
Yep.
It's amazing when we pray on the broadcast, like people come in and they'll need work. And like Lisa Clanton, she filled all her schedule subbing last year because she'd come in the broadcast, I need some days, and we'd pray. And before the broadcast was over, sometimes she'd be like, hey, guess what? I got my calendar filled, or people getting deals on tires, or, babies, we have prayed for pregnancies, all kinds of stuff.
And that's what we're supposed to do. That's kingdom. Hello. That's kingdom. We do kingdom. That's what we don't do church. You do kingdom. No. And that's what I believe we're coming into. The remnant is not going to be a remnant church. It's going to be a remnant kingdom. It's going to be a kingdom that knows how to work and operate, knows how to move and to show the signs, the wonders, and the miracles. I mean, we got to come back into a place where we start to understand our power and authority. It's like, gosh, we got to stop begging Jesus to come and save us. If you've been saved, you've been saved. Now you got to pick up your stuff and you got to start walking. Pick up your mat, man. Sorry.
It's the body in motion.
Come on.
It's the body in motion. I think every day that we're in there. And, we got this map over on my website, which, by the way, is .info.
Yes. Oh, shoot. Sorry.
But we've got this map over there on the website, and it's like, I always point to light. And, I've been showing people lately, like, I'll pick out somebody in the middle of the country or something. And I'm like, you got to think about this. When we're coming together in prayer, when we're this body, we're this church, that meeting like Jesus did, like right where we are, and we're coming together with prayer. You got to look at all these different directions the prayer is coming in from. You are surrounded by so much prayer and so much goodness. I think what we're doing is something special.
Oh, yeah. I believe that it's only going to become bigger, because as things start to move, and what's going to happen when the election's over? Like, does everybody just stop? No, we continue growing. Because I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, what do we do after the election? He goes, oh, that's when you really go to work.
Well, Here's the thing. Here's what I've been seeing in my mind.
Go ahead.
For 3 years, we've been like,
yep,
going up the top of the roller coaster. We're just coming over that top.
Yep.
So we got a lot to do.
And what's going to happen?
Well, especially with some of the stuff that we know is coming down the pipe. I mean, people are going to be broken.
Yep.
Broken.
I was actually talking to Wonder Warrior today. And
so great.
Yeah. So what one of the things that I you know what, I'll just put it out here. I was listening to this prophet. His name is Sadhu. He is from India. I don't know if you know who he is. So he's but let me tell you something. When he speaks, my Holy Spirit beeper pays attention. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's not, oh yeah. This guy's no joke. He has no agenda. But anyway, so he started to talk about the scales, and he started to show the scales, and he said, when the scales are even, that's good. But when the scales become one way or the other, that's not good.
Yeah.
Because God is God of justice. He likes things to be kind of evened up. And so what he started to talk about is he talks about Christians, and he started to talk about how Christians are always saying, I love you. I love you. He goes, in India, when somebody says that they love you, that means that they will die for you. And so he's like, look at all these people who love me and are willing to die for me. And so then I heard the American saying, I love my dog. And then he said, oh, wait a second. And then I love my pizza. And then he started to realize, wait a second, they use love in a very different way than the way that what he's used to. And he started to talk about praying and prayers. And the Lord started to show him that we needed to really pray for our president. But the problem is that we're so consumed that we don't think about anybody else. And so when he was talking about that, really there needs to be 24-hour prayer for our president, I was like, okay. So I spoke to a couple of people, and we're going to start praying and interceding for the president for 24 hours. So if anybody is interested in being a part of it, you can message me. But I'm asking for people who are going to take this job seriously, and I'm going to ask for people who know how to pray in the Spirit. Those are my only two things, because I don't need no witchcraft prayers. Just saying. I don't want people being led by their will and their emotions. I want them to be led by the Spirit. So those are the only two things. So I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but I'm sorry. I'm all about Holy Spirit leading. I don't trust myself, because, you can go off on other things. And one of the other things that the Lord showed me is that we need to start having compassion for those who have been caught and trapped in a lifestyle that is perversion, and are going to be caught and are going to be exposed for it. I don't want to get into you know what I'm talking about, right? We're on the same page.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but they were brought up into it. They were brought into it. They don't know any better. What we think is an abomination, they think is natural. And so we have to start praying for them, and we just need to start praying for God to give us compassion for these individuals.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's the other thing. So as you said, yes, there is going to be a lot of people who are going to need healing after everything is exposed. And guess what? It's coming. People don't want to see that it's coming, but I am going to tell you, it's coming. And there's nothing you can do about it, because it's not coming from man. It's not coming from man. It's coming from God, because the cries of the unborn, the cries of those who have been sacrificed and hurt, they've reached a level that God can't just ignore it anymore. And it's not that he ignores it, but there's a place when he has to move, and that's when that bowl becomes so filled. So sorry, I just felt like
and he's gonna not start uncovering all that stuff and bringing it into the light if he's not gonna finish it.
No,
he's not a halfway God. Never has been, never will be.
Nope.
Even the platypus is complete in some kind of way, right?
That's right. There's a reason for the platypus. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason for cockroaches. I still don't understand it, especially palmetto bugs, because you're from Florida. So I'm just going to say I still don't understand it. But
that's so funny, because I always say one of my dumb questions to Jesus when I sit across the table. We get one question: mosquitoes. Why?
Mosquitoes.
Yeah.
What? Why
It ruins
mosquitoes
so many good
why?
prayer times.
Yeah, and why palmetto bugs? Seriously, is
Right?
there a purpose?
Why you got to make them fly?
Oh, while you're in the shower. Oh,
Yeah, you hear that?
yep, yep. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Okay, so let me ask you. So you have a couple of things because we're not done. Because Greg Harvey, this is your life so far.
Oh boy.
So far.
Is Mrs. Davis here?
Okay, so one of the things that God started to talk to you about and giving you dreams and giving you ideas was to have multi-platforms, but also to have a place and a safety where you can actually share information that could not be compromised. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So we have something called digitalsoldiers.info, which bad me, I put com. Sorry. So if you guys are interested in going to digitalsoldiers.info, you can find information. But what brought you, was that, because I feel like that's just another place that God has brought you to.
Well, I mean, we started doing the broadcast and stuff, and I was just doing the Devo. And I mean, we were doing amazing things. And then, I was pouring out all the time. I was pouring. I wasn't filling myself back up. And then at the same point, our favorite, Patriot Insider, started exposing things, and me draining myself and not filling up, and me finding out the world that I lived in, they kind of collided, and it put me in a spiral. I went through this dark depression, and I'm trying to do the Devo and all that stuff, and I stopped for like 6 months, and then God told me it's time to go back out and start talking about God and country. So, I kind of figured this thing out as I went. I really didn't know what that meant. And, my friend Allison put me in with Dilly probably, I don't know, a year and a half, like 2 years ago, maybe now. And, I started seeing the way he was just like a regular guy, Christian guy. He was doing the news. I was like, well, shoot, man, I can do that. He kind of had his act together a little bit better than me. So I really started, learning a lot from him. And, it just started like where I started showing clips, especially when it started going nuts. And, really Brett Kavanaugh was like me getting vocal. I was like, that's it. I'm being vocal. I'm speaking up. And, so we started doing a broadcast, and then, 2020 happened. And, so many people were waking up, and I started noticing even out on the board and in different chats and other people's broadcasts, people didn't know like where to find information. People didn't know like how to research stuff. They weren't going to go look up an account or YouTube or, an alternate news source or anything. So we started talking about it in the broadcast, and actually it's not my site. I mean, it's our site. It's a community site, because we thought that up on the broadcast, and, we new stuff comes out and we get it up there. Yeah.
That's kingdom.
So, I mean, it's the one place where we just started marrying together all the information that was out there. And listen, it must be hell of effective though, man, because I'm getting hammered. They've hacked my site. They've taken it apart. I had to rebuild the thing 3 times in the beginning. You can't get it on some browsers, some carriers. Can't even post it on Facebook anymore.
Nope.
So yeah, but I mean, that's all of us. We got a faith section in there. We got prophecy section over there. We got stuff about our favorite insider intelligence. We got memes and video clips. And, I always say, I'm not trying to be this stuff. I'm just trying to share stuff,
That's right. That's it. And that is exactly who you are. You are the gift bearer. You love to bring gifts to everybody, to share your stuff. You're the little boy who brings all his toys into the sandbox and goes, okay, everybody grab a toy. It's not like, this is my toy. This is my favorite toy. You're like, no, here, try this one. This one's even better. Try this one. This one's even better. That's your heart. That's who you are. That's what I think is so awesome about you and so special about you, that you let other people shine, and you're willing to take a step back. And that is something that is very commendable. Very commendable, and now, especially from where you came from.
Yeah, and now look, I get to come back around, and Dilly's like one of my heroes. Now I got to help him. Medic. I mean, I looked up to Medic for so long before he even noticed me or anything, and now we're friends. I get to help him. I get to help Andrea, Mary Grace, you. Sandra, Amy started broadcasting. I was having a down week. Amy stepped up. Now she's got her own thing going.
I know.
I love to tell everybody how awesome our little family is, and like promote everybody and tell everybody go make sure you check out. And even when we're showing the rallies, it's just so much fun to be together, and not only just be in this fight, but to be that body in motion, be one community that's moving for the greater good.
Absolutely. And that's the whole thing, when we can start to see, I mean, I say I'm a gold digger. That's what I always say. I say I'm a gold digger because I'm able to see the gold in other people and pull it out. And sometimes you have to use a sifter to get rid of all the crap in order to show them the gold.
Sift them like wheat.
You got to sift them, got to sift it out of them. But when you can recognize gold in people and you can start pulling it out and you can start sharing and explaining to people who they are, there's something there's something inside of them that recognizes it. Whether they can discount it all they want, but when you pull out a truth out of somebody and you start to tell them who they are and what they're called to be, there is something that snaps to attention. And sometimes it's those I call them the Samuel moments, just like when the prophet Samuel went and he found David. He called him to be a king, and he was still a shepherd. And so there's those times where someone can call things out of you. And that's what you've been doing, is you've been calling the gold out of people. You've been telling people that there is good. You've been sharing all the truths about our Papa, our Daddy. I mean, however you want to call God, I call him Daddy, I call him Papa. But, because there's an intimacy that I have, and you have an intimacy with God. And you share that intimacy and you bring people into your intimacy each and every day. So I think it's super awesome. So, Greg Harvey, what is next for you? I know.
What?
I know.
What? Tell me.
Oh, I told you. You have a book. You got to write that book. Come on now.
I've got so much of it done, I
know. Well, you just need to do it because the book's going to be a movie. Come on now.
Seriously. I mean, people have been telling me for like 20 something years to write a book, even even when I was still like really legit a knucklehead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would, I'd love to see it, being handed out in like treatment centers and jails, and, people that are having trouble, they give it to like their wayward kids or, whatever. Like you could see that no matter how far down the scale you go, it ain't over. As long as you're on this side of the dirt, you got a chance. God wants to do something with your life if you just let him.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like when you can take your hand and partner with God, it's amazing. It's amazing what he can do, because you were called to be a voice. Even when you were a little boy, you were called. You didn't even realize that you came from people who were in media that were a voice, that were radio broadcasters. Come on. Seriously.
I mean, that's how like, I know we got to go and stuff, but, like God was so good to me. He sent me to Romania to meet a sweet lady from Virginia who became my spiritual mama. And she walked me through, prayer ministry, deliverance and stuff. And, we did a lot of work over a few years. And, I petitioned God. I didn't know anything about my dad. I'd found him right before Bella was born. So I'd talked to him on the phone. But at first, he denied me and, all this stuff. And he wasn't capable of having a relationship. And then, we really did a lot of heavy lifting, and, I petitioned God to let me know where I came from. And, within a week of getting home from Virginia, somebody got me hold of me on Facebook and was like, "Oh, my long lost family. I'm trying to find, are you my long lost brother?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I'm not really a Harvey. I'm Sykes. But I understand your search and all that. I wish you luck." And like I'm a digital soldier now, so obviously I can find anything online, but I've always been able to find anything online. And I'd looked for my dad online again, and I couldn't find him. And I went and I put his name into Google, and it was like 2-3 weeks before I stopped finding new stuff about him. I found like magazine articles and newspapers and videos of him, and all the stuff that like he'd already passed. I missed him by like 8 months. And all the stuff that people had said about him, and ironically, he had been locked up from 13 to 17 as a kid, generational, a lot of the same stuff. And he was a wild man. He turned his life around, and You know, he lived his life to help other people. He was the unofficial mayor of the town that he lived in, you know, all this stuff. But God restored to me that relationship. I remember thinking to myself, "Wow, he's dead, you know, it's over." And, you know, God was so good to me. He gave him back to me in a way that I probably wouldn't have got him, you know, because I saw his Facebook page and his music and his interests, and a lot of it was the same. And, you know, then God started giving me back my brothers and sisters that I'd never met. Like I'd always felt like this hole in my heart. Like I knew I had sisters and brothers and stuff. And, you know, God, like seriously, like this is the weirdest thing. And still to this day, we can't explain it. But one night I looked at my Twitter account and there was a message from my sister Karen in Alaska. And like, she never sent the message, but that's how we started. But that's how we started talking. She's like, "How would I send you a message? Your last name's Harvey. My last name's Syke. I don't even know who's Greg Harvey." You know,
I almost wrote Greg Sykes, by the way. And I was like, "What am I doing?" No, you know.
Well,
so go ahead.
You know, I am a Sykes. I'm not a Harvey.
I know you are. I know you are.
You know, that got changed when I was 3, and you know, they didn't want me. They threw me away. They don't have anything to do with me or my family now. You know, I feel like I'm an imposter everywhere except for Facebook.
No, that's not true.
But you know, now I got a relationship with my sisters. You know, my one sister, Catherine, you know, she's like probably one of my besties, you know, and I mean, I got to go out there and meet her in California last year for the first time. And as the first time ever in my life I ever touched anything from that side of me, you know, and I gave her a hug. You know? I mean, here's the thing. God will give you everything back that the enemy stole, and then some.
Right.
And then some. Right. Not just some people, not a couple people, not some lucky few. Everybody. Everybody. That's why I always say, you know, I'm nothing special. This is what God does. Well, but a lot of people won't let him. A lot of people won't let him. You know, I dove in with everything. I put it to the test for a year. But then I dove in and I immersed myself in his word. I immersed myself in messages. You know, the old man died, and, you know, the new man was being rebuilt every day with brand new eyes, listening to things, feeling things different. Like, I had a hard time in the beginning because I feel things very deep, you know, and it's like I feel people's like emotions and stuff. So like there was like, as stupid as it sounds, there's just Walmart in my town that I couldn't go into because I'd be suffocating by the time I got to the end of it. You know, it's like I could feel everybody's pain and stuff. And so, you know, I don't know. I think God had me go through all that stuff so I could be there for, you know, for people that won't approach him because of, you know, other Christians or church or thinking they got to get cleaned up. Or, you know, I always tell people like you be in the line, smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, kicking a puppy with a needle hanging out of your arm, and you can come to God. You can come to God. You don't even have to stop doing that stuff. God will take it out of your life.
God will take it out. Exactly. Because I was listening to you today and you were saying that, and I was like, yep. God will take care of it because he doesn't expect us to be perfect.
That's what Jesus did. Look at my favorite guy, crazy naked guy in the cemetery, you know, chains couldn't hold him. Everybody's afraid of him. He's a wild man. I remember hearing the pastor tell that story in church and I was like shaking on my chair. Like, is he talking about me? How does he know my past? But look what Jesus did to him. He set him free, you know, set him free. He said, go back and tell everybody what I did. Go back and tell the town.
So there's a they did a Jesus show. It was called Jesus at the Sight and Sound place in Philadelphia, and it was like a musical. It was beautiful. But there was a song, and it was as he was going to see the Gadarene, the demoniac, right? And so
Amen, Robin.
And so they're going over on this ship, and they're singing this song about he called me by name. He called me by name, and it shows, and they're singing the song, how he called me by name, how Jesus called him by name, and he's going to the demoniac, and he calls the demoniac, and he calls him by his name, and then he tells those demons to flee. And I was weeping and I was crying and I was guttural, like, I mean, it was just awful, you know, and I was actually there. I was there at the place, and the Lord spoke to me and he goes, is it worth the one? That's all he said to me. Because I always say, Lord, I need more, I need more, I need more. He goes, but is it worth the one? Just the one. If that's all you get is just that one. See, I know that I can answer I can answer that question for you, Greg, because it would be, yep, absolutely. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
No question. You know,
Yeah.
but there's so many people who don't want to leave. They want to stay in the glitz and the glamour. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes life is messy and sometimes we have to change diapers and sometimes we have to change lots of them because people are walking around with dirty diapers right now. And so
they are.
because they can't, they don't know how to go to Jesus to get changed.
Mm-hmm.
So they walk around with their crap and,
Yeah.
you know, and it smells. Sorry. So, you know, but it takes someone who says, wait a second, let's go and let's go get you changed, because that's what you would do. Be like, you know what, let's take this off because you don't need this anymore. It's just it's really beautiful. So when you talk about those people who don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be anything other than where they are, and God will meet them and he'll clean them up. But like you said, so many people do not want to go and get cleaned up.
Well, you know who I'm thinking about right now?
Who?
I'm thinking about how we started this whole conversation. I'm thinking about Bunker Boy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even in the chat, you know, like there's some trolls, yeah, they're gone. They're immediately gone. But you know what God will do is he'll shine a light. He'll shine a light. Man, I'm not gonna cry. He'll shine a light. Like there's people, and I'll straight up tell you, you know, I mean, there's people that God has definitely shined a light on, like this person, love on this person. This person is here for a reason. Bunker Boy was one of those ones. And I don't know where he's been lately. Maybe he finally got blocked. I think he was on his 12th account, you know, because he was a troll. That's what trolls do. They troll and they get blocked. But I know by the end of the Bunker coming in our broadcast, he was asking for prayer. And he was like, my trolling skills, they're not valid here because you guys are just too nice to me. You know? And that's what we're supposed to do.
And that's the thing. And I'm just gonna say this, Greg, that you are going to get a message from Bunker Boy. You are going to get a message. Yep, you're going to get a message, because the things that we sow into people, it eventually gets a return. So the things that you've sown into him, because you did, because not only and you've prayed for him, even outside of the broadcast, because he pops into your head. And so you've prayed for him, you've sown into him, and you've prayed for him and asked for help and intervention for him, and to see his true identity and to understand his worth and his value. Those were your prayers for him. So the things that you've sown into him, you're going to see. I'm telling you, you're going to see. I don't know how, I don't know when, but you're going to see, and you're going to meet somebody who's going to say, guess what? I was Bunker Boy. And you're going to break down and cry. And you're going to be like, really? I'm telling you, I can see, maybe it's in your movie, I don't know. But I'm seeing it. I am totally seeing it. It's so, it's just so beautiful to see what you have done in what God has given you. You have returned a great reward. Like, you know what, the parable about the coins, and some people buried them. You've gotten double. Come on.
That's my line. Because like I say it sometimes, it's like, I don't want to sit across the table from Jesus one day, like we all will.
Mom,
I'm not sitting across the table from him and he asked me what I did with what he gave me, and I'm like, I was afraid. I took a knee. I didn't do this because what are they going to think? Or, you know, I don't want to do. I was afraid. I'm not doing it. I'm not having that conversation. And then I get to ask about the mosquitoes. But, you know,
although somebody answered it, they answered it for us back a little bit. They said that they were created to give birds food. Because if you look at Matthew, it says that look at the birds in the air. They don't have to work, yet they get fed. So they get to eat the mosquitoes. So
bats too. Bats
too. There you go.
Yeah. But I don't want to sit across the table from him and tell him I took what he gave me, you know, all this stuff, and I was afraid. You know.
Yeah, and you won't have to. So because you love to pray, why don't you go ahead and why don't you just pray us out and pray for these all the awesome people who have come on and spent some time with us and got to hear your story. And I just have to say that I am a huge, huge fan of Greg Harvey. I am a huge fan. Don't be awkward. It's my heartfelt. I appreciate and I value what you do.
Thank you so much. Well, I love you too, and I love that we finally got to talking, and we
Yes.
just clicked right away. So
Yes.
you claimed me. You said you're one of my spiritual mamas. So
I
you're
am.
stuck with me now.
I am. And it's like one of those things. It's like, God said to me once, he says, you don't pick your kids, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. And
Yeah.
so, and that's
True
why
story, guys.
day.
Here's the thing. You guys have been following me for a while. I got a thing with mamas. God has always given me such good mamas all along my path and stuff. And so the first time Lisa and I are talking to me, she's like, God told me I'm supposed to be a mother to you. I'm supposed to be a mama to you. And I was like, well, there you go. There you go. Because that's what he does.
And now we're praying for some daddies.
Yeah. Yeah. We need some of those.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. But that's what I think. And so my prayer for you is that you get to experience every dream that you have had, even since you were a little boy, that you get to have every single encounter, and you get to do things with your kids that you couldn't get to do, and you get to see the things that you've so wanted to see as you were flipping through books and stuff. That's my prayer for you, is that you get to be everything that you've been called to be in just like Ephesians 3:20, in an exceeding abundantly far above you can all ask, think, or imagine way. That's my prayer for you.
And some great grands. I figure if I could see the grands, I don't even have anybody married at some. I can make it through grands.
You will.
Great grands. Great.
You will. You will. And I'm just saying that the legacy that you are starting to build for your children is going to produce great. You've already produced fruit, but it's going to continue. And even in your children, they're going to come alongside you. You're about to see some big shifts in the next. And I started to talk to you about that there are some big shifts heading your way, that they're going to be like, what? You watch and see, because I'm telling you, you are marked. You are marked in a good way.
And then here's my best gift of all, my friend Allison, of course.
Yes, come on now.
I just saw it in the chat.
I know, she is awesome. That's Navy wife, yes.
Yeah,
she's amazing. She's adorable.
Her husband was in the service. He was in the military. He's overseas and stuff. And she was praying. She needed some people surrounding her. She was doing what military spouses do. She was being a stay-at-home mom. She was, serving on the front line with her kiddos. She's trying to fix her car through YouTube videos and all this stuff. And God put her in Larissa's broadcast and brought her over here. And God really just kind of gave her what she needed in these relationships. And now we've seen kids get married and graduate, and now Allison's a grandma in her rocking chair. Keeps trying to talk me into moving to Tennessee. That's
what she said. Tennessee is great, and let me just tell you something about Tennessee. There is a Titanic museum. Just saying.
I know.
Have you been?
I worked with the Titanic.
Did you?
For 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah, remember the guy that led me to the Lord?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Titanic for 10 years. I got to go to worship. I was 6 months away from going to the sub and going down and seeing it, but I think it was better, because my first trip ever being saved, my first trip ever in my life was to Ireland, to go over there and photograph where she was built, Thomas Andrews Drawn House, all that stuff. Wow. I've been on the Olympic that ferried the first class passengers out.
Come on.
That was good. I got to go to the birthplace. Everybody went to the cemetery. I go to the birthplace.
Oh, come on. That's a good word right there. That's really good word right there. I like that. I like that. Okay. So why don't we go ahead, because we've kept these people on for an hour and a half. So why don't we go ahead and let's pray them out. I mean, it's shorter than your broadcast. I'm just saying. But you can come on. You can come on Touched by Prayer anytime you want. Your family.
Thank you so much. Well, as soon as I figure out how to do this, you can come on to mine too.
I would love that. That would be super fun.
Hey, nobody knows the nightmare that went 4 minutes before this broadcast. We did a virtual camera here. Like, you don't even know.
No.
Like, you don't know the train wreck that almost happened.
I would have had your back, though. I would have had your back. You're going to be like, he was like, Lisa.
It was touch and go. It was almost like put up a graphic and I'll talk.
Greg was like, maybe I'll go in another room. I'm like, no. We're going to figure this out. We're going to figure it out. And we prayed and God made a way, right?
Yeah. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Pay no attention.
Oh, that was funny. Oh my gosh. So fun. All right, but you're out of the closet now. So let's go ahead.
All right, here we go.
I worked at a comedy club for a while, so I'm just telling you.
Yeah, that was a good callback. All right, Lord, I just thank you so much for this time. I thank you so much for my friend and my mom, Lisa, and I thank you so much for everything that she's doing. I thank you so much for all the hearts that came in here today, all the families that were represented by the people that were here, and Lord, maybe if you could use my story to help reach somebody to know that they don't have to have it all figured out to approach you, Lord, and that you're going to love them and you're going to complete them and you're going to heal them and you're going to set them free, Lord. Doesn't matter what they've done or where they've been, you just love them so much. And Lord, I just thank you so much for taking the mess of my life and giving me a message and giving me a message for you. So I hated you with all my heart. And now I love you so much I can't stop talking about you. And I'll spend the rest of my life serving you. And so, Lord, I just ask you to just bless us tonight with good rest. Bless Lisa with just abundance and just more great people to come on. And Lord, prayer requests that went through in the chat that we didn't see, Lord, be moving on their behalf. And Lord, just help us set our country free too. And we're praying for our president. We're praying for the leaders. We're praying for the patriots and everybody else out there, the digital soldiers, Lord, and praying for accounts that are being taken down, Lord. The truth is able to get out there. And Lord, I know that enough of us turn to you and you're healing our land. So Lord, just ask you to make it so and bring it through to fruition. And it's in your name, Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so if you guys are interested in following Greg Harvey, you can go to digitalsoldiers.info. You can go and check out his website. You can go find out his faith section. You can find out about stuff that's going on in our government, just in case you'd like to be, take a pill or two. So you can always go and you can always just, go over there and see if there's, something you might want to, dabble in. Because a lot of people here, we're pretty much all on the same page, but I'm just saying, so we can always go there and, So if people are interested in listening to you, they can find you. Let's see if I got this right. You can go, you can't go to YouTube anymore, correct?
Yeah, I'm still over there.
Oh, you're still on YouTube. Okay, so you can go to YouTube. You can go to Periscope. You can find Greg Harvey. He's usually on about 9:30-ish. So you can get, I like the ish, right? The little ish. So you can go and find him there. You can also, he has a Cloud Hub channel, which is 117, right?
Yep, channel 117 over on Cloud Hub.
Come on. Okay. So you can also, if you subscribe to his Cloud Hub, you actually will get notified every time he goes live, because sometimes on Saturdays he shows movies, which I believe that some people were saying you should show The Shack. Ha! Come on.
Yeah, The Shack is one we're talking about. We're probably gonna do some more Dinesh. We're gonna do Plot Against the President, Trump card and stuff. We're gonna start doing those this week.
Okay.
And then after the election, then we get into Shack. I know Gene wants us to show Patton and stuff. We got to do Passion of Christ. But like every Saturday we have a movie, and then every Sunday we do church.
That's it.
9:30 a.m. too.
Come on.
Every day.
That's it. And you can also follow him because he's very much in the in the know. We'll put it that way. So you can also find Greg Harvey there. So you can but if you go to Cloud Hub and you subscribe to his channel, you will always be notified when he goes live. And he goes live a lot. So you definitely want to go to Cloud Hub and actually join the Cloud. I'm on the Cloud. And Greg's on the Cloud, and Praying Medic's on the Cloud, and Andrea Joy's on the Cloud. And you might not know some of these people, but guess what? If you go to Cloud Hub, you can actually start to find this plethora of amazing and beautifully created people who have a strong message and are doing what they're called to do, which is spreading some hope and joy and love and getting people red pilled all along the way. How about that?
Yeah.
So. But thank you so much, Greg, for coming on Touched by Prayer.
Thank you so much for having me.
So much fun. Wasn't it fun?
Yeah.
It was really fun. Okay, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. God bless you. Please, please, please keep our president in prayer. Really, really important. Keep him in prayer, because I am telling you, God is not done with our country. He is about to start moving. Big. And I am telling you, it is going to be glorious. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard because you're not going to want to hear everything, but it's going to be glorious. It is going to be glorious. So definitely go out and support him by your prayers. Just pray. Just pray for God's will to be done in his life. How about that? It's an easy prayer, and it comes into agreement with what God is doing. And that way you keep him safe, because God loves him so, so much. Trust me, he does. So anyway, Greg, just as much as God loves you, and he so, so loves you as I love you. And so thank you so much for coming on Touched by Prayer. Thank you guys for hanging in. I hope that you guys have had fun. Just remember to go out and touch someone. God bless and good night.